Good evening, everybody. This is a sort of like a take two, because yeah, my internet was letting me down just a moment ago. So it's been a few days since I've been here, because I remember last week I did put up a bit of something on Africa Day, and the way I so wish the Friday was holiday also. I'm still hungover from that, just needing to take a bit of a break. I don't know if that's a sign I need a vacation, or just take days off work and just relax. So I don't know. I have been well. How have you guys been? I really hope somebody has started, to look within, to start their own journey of healing. I actually hope so. So I noticed I promised I was going to put up a picture showing how some of these things we feel, the low self-esteem, trauma, basically, how it's it may be passed from a mother to their child. I realized just a few moments ago I actually didn't put that picture up, and so I put it up just a few minutes before I appeared on this live video. So it's got a lot of scientific stuff to it, scientific phrasing, we call it the jargon. But then yeah, I hope it makes sense to someone. A call really to encourage us to heal. I saw this post. I actually have it in my phone somewhere, which talks about, which sort of like encourages people to heal, so that they don't get children who need to heal from them being parents, from being children to unhealed parents. And it's making much more sense with that picture. When you refuse to heal, you are carrying that trauma to the next generation, like that, the genes, the DNA and stuff like that. You have a child who just gets angry, gets tantrums, and the funny thing is that we actually forget when our children are acting up and all that. We actually are surprised, like, where is this coming from? Yet we forget that probably it may be us who are passing on these things to our children. And so I was hoping today I could, get Doc here to talk more about shame on the scientific aspect. I have, basic understanding from what I've been doing, research for myself. You see the advantage of healing is that you get to learn so much. I'm an avid reader. I love reading, and so when I have been doing this research, I've been finding such interesting things. The good part for me is that it got to demystify so much of what I used to, worry about, stuff that I used to want to get rid of, but felt that it was something that was permanent with me. And now, but then with this journey I've been taking, the journey of healing, it has been getting so much better, for the fact that a lot of the things that I was, experiencing, the emotions, the upheavals, one moment I'm very happy, the next day I don't even want to talk to anyone. I used to wonder, like, wow, what's wrong with me? But now I'm noticing that there's actually nothing wrong with me, except the mindsets, the belief systems that I had actually, developed over years because of the trauma I've been through. I have been through, yes, that's the word. So now it becomes, less, what I've learned is that when you understand something better, it ceases to, to feel like it's a whole mountain that's difficult to overcome. Yeah. So that's the reason why I show up here every day, to try and demystify healing, so that somebody can just, you know, actually get to realize that the one who's really holding you back from, you know, moving on from what you've been through is yourself. It's not what you've been through, although yes, it's a painful, like I always say, when I say that what you've been through is not what's holding you back, it's just to let you know that the decision to move on or the decision to remain stuck lies solely in your hands. You know, it is you who decides if the effects of what you've been through will remain, or if you will choose to overcome, to just move forward. You know, it sounds oversimplified, but it's actually my hope that talking over and over about this stuff, you know, regards trauma, sexual trauma, and the journey of healing, will actually have someone see it as something that can be done. Difficult, yes, but something that can be done. So last week, I know we're talking about shame and you know, how it manifests in someone's behavioral patterns. And the basic thing about it that I've actually picked is that it is you deciding to identify with the feelings that you get to have because of the trauma you have been through. You know, that's now attaching, you know, feelings of worthlessness, like you are unlovable, like you are, I'm now looking for the phrases. I used to actually know them, like, because I used to preach them so much to myself. I know it, they used to just come off automatically. Yeah, like you're a failure, you're not worth anyone's time. Yeah, especially that one. With the unreturned calls and the blue ticks and the gray ticks and whatnot. It used to like be very difficult for me. I used to take so much personally, you know. Yeah, and today really I'm just being chatty. I just thought to encourage someone just by talking about how some of the things where I used to be, basically, because when people show up, what I've realized is that a lot of people tend to think when someone is showing up, it has been, you know, this smooth, easy ride, yet it's never like that. Like I've mentioned, you know, even when I've been writing stuff on this page, even coming up on video like this, I've always made it clear that it has not been easy. I'm glad that I used to be able to just take a selfie of myself in those most difficult times. I'm a photos person. I believe I'm photogenic. I believe, you know, the camera loves me and I love the camera. And so I used to take these not so nice pictures of me, you know, in tears, and it would be like, I didn't know at the time that I was going to be, you know, walking down this path of, you know, videoing and writing stuff on Facebook and whatnot. I didn't know at the time, but I just felt to keep the memory somehow, because, you know, I used to just tell myself one day I'll look at this picture and actually smile. It was a way to encourage myself at the time when I was feeling so down in the dumps. It felt like I was never going to get over it, and now I can actually share some of those photos like on this Facebook and stuff. So at the time when you actually start on your journey of healing, it's not an easy thing to look within, because in there it is, you have always told yourself messages that are negative. Like I mentioned some time before, that you get to be angry at yourself for being victim. You somehow blame yourself for what you have been through, and yet all that shame and that you know, telling yourself you're guilty shouldn't be for yourself. It should be for the one who has done you wrong. But somehow with abuse, we somehow get to take it out on ourselves. Yes, that's the phrase. We take the anger and you know, the shame out on ourselves. We tell ourselves we have become less of human beings, or because someone has decided to, you know, intrude on our boundaries. That's, yeah. And so the journey of healing is to actually start by daring to look within. Yeah, I'm just here to encourage someone. I'm not into, you know, the shame and what. I thought I was going to talk about that. In the morning, I was actually, you know, writing notes and what, but I'm realizing, for me, writing actually sort of like confuses me. When I try to look at what I've scripted, I lose the plot. So that's why I decided to just show up here unscripted. Yes, I look forward to having, you know, a banner behind me that will just be written, healing charts unscripted. I just thought to encourage someone, you know, to you know, take up this journey. It's not easy, like I'm saying. And the difficult part that I actually realized in retrospect, you know, looking back, I noticed that what made it difficult for me, yes, I'll talk about me, is that it was difficult to look within myself and truly listen to what I'm actually feeling on the inside, because somehow there was this voice that always told me I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. Like I said before, I used to tell myself I'm not worthy of, you know, the care in unhurt human being. Good evening, Jonathan. How are you? Welcome. Thank you for showing up like you always do. I'm honored. Thank you so much. So I was saying, for me, the pain of looking within always came when because there was a voice that was too loud to acknowledge that Praise was just in pain and she needed attention, especially from herself, you know, because the way I just rejected who I was because of what I'd been through, it caused for me to just ignore Praise. It's like having a Praise that remained stuck at age 7 and then grew. Yes, you'd see her turn 8, 10, 15, 30, and yet there was this wounded child within that needed, you know, care. But Praise chose to just move on. And I've noticed that a lot of us do that when we are through stuff that has really hurt us. We choose to pretend we are not hurt. We choose to you know, just carry on, you know, like nothing happened, like, you know, easy like Sunday morning, hey. But then you will notice that this unresolved trauma and the emotions and the negativity that comes with it will always show up in how you relate with people. You see, that's why you will see most of the people who have been through trauma, they cannot really relate, especially when relationships get too close. Somehow they find a way to just cause it to end, or they may not necessarily cause it to end, but the people who are in there with them, in relationship with them, may just feel, oh my goodness, this is a lot of work. Why? Because the rejection we have projected on ourselves becomes an energy that you know, just shows up with the people we relate with. It's the message you always tell yourself that will show up with the next person. We must know that, because it's like we gravitate towards the same type of people who actually just leave us. Why? Because in us we have to expect the negative things we think about ourselves. We expect that we'll be rejected. We expect that we'll be abandoned. Yeah, in my current read is on abandonment, because a few weeks ago, like 2 to 3 weeks ago, I got triggered. I did promise I was just going to be vulnerable on here. Eh? An incident took place and I was so angry, guys. You have no idea. I felt, like I'd been, dropped like a hot potato. I felt like all my work had just been laid to waste. I was so upset. But now, because I'm now away, I now know that, with anger is always a secondary emotion. It shows up to try and, alert us to a deeper emotion that needs to be addressed. Something like pain, sadness. That's what anger hides most of the time. So when you're angry, take a pause and try to look, why am I feeling angry? Many times you find that it's, a feeling probably of self-pity, a feeling of feeling abandoned, like I discovered with myself. For me, it was, life-altering, really. Because I hadn't realized that the incident that had taken place, it made me feel abandoned. Imagine, so you see, an unhealed trauma will show up even in the most, in circumstances that shouldn't go that overboard. Yes, for someone who hasn't been through that and someone who doesn't understand trauma, it would really be an overreaction, So I remember I took a pause when it just occurred to me, oh my goodness, I feel like what has happened is a replay of something that took place when I was a child. I experienced that, I don't know if I mentioned that my mom left when I was 4. Yeah, it was separation, but as a child, because you don't understand, the bigger picture of what's happening, when a parent leaves, it feels like somehow it's you who has caused for that to happen. And now, because I'm now more aware of self, I remember I took the journey from that time. And then I was noticing how I had a close relationship with my father. And then I lost him too at 13, you see. I remember a conversation I had with our guardian mom. I'll call her guardian mom, stepmom. Because, yeah, my dad was married to someone else. I remember, actually asking her not to leave us. That conversation I had totally forgotten about. But somehow it got, like a resurfacing within. And then I was noticing, oh my goodness, you have carried an abandonment wound for a very long time. You see? And now with this incident of 3 weeks ago, it sort of like brought all that rushing back. But I'm so glad that took place, because I remember just, being still. Yeah, be still and know. That was my moment of just being still, just like really look closely at this thing. And I realized that really most of the, the shame and the rejection and what, it really had its roots in this abandonment wound that I had carried for a very long time. I'm talking about this to encourage someone, because these conversations that we have here every Monday, like I promised we would, like till further notice, I'll be letting you know when we need to take a pause and whatnot. They are coming from a place of growing in what we call self-awareness. That's what comes when you start to be deliberate, to be intentional about wanting to look at why you behave the way you behave, why you engage in self-sabotaging behavior, why it is that you feel like you are not worthy of the happy experiences of life. Why is it that you feel that way? If you take time to dig deep, you'll find that beneath all that there is a lot, files. For me, I was actually looking at a whole mountain of files. You ever entered an office and you're seeing a cabinet that's full right up to above your height. That's what it was for me 3 weeks ago when I was down looking at this. I'm like, oh, so this is the root. Yeah, of course, for me, my first response is always a feeling of being overwhelmed, as though surely I cannot handle this. But then, yeah, I'm getting better, just bouncing back quicker than I used to. So I remember I looked up a book, yeah, me with self-help books. Yeah, I thank God for Dr. Clinton Kadochi, but most of the times when I get through to him, I'll have found a book or 3 or a video, and I'll be telling him, Doc, this is what I found out. And then I looked for this book entitled that, and it was saying this and this and this. Help me navigate. I try to find resources like that, because I've gotten to the understanding that the journey of healing, while I will be getting support and assistance from experts and people around me, and all that we need in our journeys, the main responsibility is on me. Yeah, I've gotten to that understanding. That's why I get ahead of myself a lot of the times. And sometimes I actually stress myself, because I will have gotten this explanations and what that actually defeat my purpose of healing. And then I'll be like, yeah, it's good that I have someone to go back to. I'll be like, Doc, is this what I'm understanding? Like the truth of the matter. You are the expert here, and it's good that I've done self-discovery, so I know that the information that I have, what I believe, is just like 2,000 bits of 4 billion that will have come my way all at the same time. And it being trimmed down, it means I have 3 billion plus bits of information that I don't have. So for me, that's quite very encouraging, because it means I have more that I don't know, that someone else may know, because of how they, perceive, how they view life and all that. So I went back there and I was looking, oh, so this is why I sort of like get very anxious when I don't get responses. This is why I rush to actually think they just brushed it off. To me, to be like, it's only praise. This is me thinking on behalf of whoever blue ticks or gray ticks me. I'm just glad that for those who are really close to me, those who I have formed like close relationships with, we got to conversations around that, and I have this reassurance that I actually now have this knowledge that it's not that they are, throwing me away with the trash. I believe you me, that's the first thought that comes to my head when I see a gray or blue tick. But then, yeah, with the closest people to me, the ones I hashtag my people, there are some that I know that they will put statuses, yet they didn't respond to you, but they will. My advisor, Mrs. Josephine Kusamba, I like her, what she does. If I text a good morning in the morning, she may text 4 days later in the night and be like, good morning. And then it becomes a space of humor, we can now just laugh it off, because, she now understands me and I get her. I know she has this thing of not wanting, a whole list of notifications. I now know, you see. So you can actually laugh around that. And I'm so glad that because of this journey of healing, I am now a lot better just deciding, okay, at least they saw the message, right? So my area of encouragement for us tonight, because I really don't have much to talk about tonight, is for us to stop internalizing the shame And when I say internalizing the shame, it's our failure to separate, or the negative feelings of what happened to us with who we are. When we attach, when we start telling ourselves you are worthless, you've never been worth it anyway, or who do you think, or what, it's funny that you thought someone would stay with a person like you. When you are having those voices within, know that that's are the lies from the pit of hell that you need to overturn. Yeah, the work is entirely yours. Yes, you are not to blame for what happened, or maybe you're partially to blame because you allowed yourself to go for late parties that you don't usually go to. Because I know sexual trauma is not really for children all the time. It may be an adult, and you're feeling like you brought this upon yourself. We're saying yes, that all that happened, and whatever mistakes they happened, we need to let them go and then take up the work to start healing. That's all I have to say today. We need to separate who we are from what happened to us. That's that's coming out from a place of shame. Separating yourself from what happened to you. That's shame resilience, a way of fighting back. You start to replace that negative voice with the good one that tells you you are still worthy of, true love and connection from those people that care about you. It comes from you. It is you who starts to tell yourself, because the truth of the matter is that as long as you don't believe it about yourself, no matter how many, people who are wishing you well, who are hoping you actually overcome this thing, as long as you don't have that within yourself, as long as you don't actually tell that to yourself first and actually accept that is the truth about who you are, it will never work from anyone else. That's what I want to bring out to anyone who may be battling in a space of shame because of what happened to them. The journey, the work, it starts with you. Everyone else who will come in the picture is now building upon what you have decided for yourself you're going to do for your life to start to thrive. Because like we said last week, like when you go through trauma, your body is designed to bring up the adrenaline. I'm sure we learned that in science back in school, like the adrenaline that brings up the flight, fight, or fright response. So now when we're saying you are doing life in a traumatized state, is that that response that took place those many years back, or even that 1 week back, it never went back to normalizing. You have remained in this state of wanting to defend yourself for all your life. For myself, I'll say it's for all my life, because hey, it has been a very long time. So imagine you being ready to fight, being ready to flee, being ready to run away for 20 years for something that happened to you 20 years ago. You're still in a state of wanting to fight. Hi, Winnie. Thank you for showing up. So I'm saying you cannot remain in a state of, wanting to fight. Because when you're in that state, that means how you are relating with everyone around you. You're in fight mode. You're ready to just lash out. You're ready to yeah, me and not wanting my specs and the myopia. Now I have to lean in on the camera. So I was saying, I want to encourage someone to start looking within. I know the urge to actually pretend you're not in pain, the urge to want to pretend like everything is fine on the outside. It's really draining, because the wound, it acts like a drain for whatever affirmations you tell yourself from the outside. Thank you, Winnie. So I was saying, for whatever, you know, affirmations you decide to get from the outside, whatever approval you get from anyone outside of yourself, it will not work, because that unhealed wound will act as a drain for whatever positive energy you may have. It all is drained because of what? Because of the wound that you still carry within yourself. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying when you're you know, the wound that was inflicted by the trauma that you've been through remains unhealed, no matter who speaks positive words to you, or no matter how much affirmations you tell yourself, it will never work, because the source of your pain is still unresolved. There's an example which I love to hear from this from Pastor Gladys Paswani. She uses, she says, it's like you are hurt. Everyone can see that you have a broken leg, and yet you are refusing to come out from the playing field. You are choosing to continue. Hey, I'm so glad Airtel is not telling me I've used 60% of my data, because I haven't used the 2 gig ever since I bought it, and I would have actually gone also on statuses and retain. Airtel is stealing our data. So I was saying, when you choose to look within, no matter how ugly it looks, it helps you to come to a place of acknowledging that you have been hurt. And you know, when you acknowledge the truth of what you are, you know, experiencing, what you've been carrying for a long time, that's the beginning of the journey of, you know, being aware, being conscious of where you are. Because you lost yourself in the, you know, in the pain, in the whatever you were, the negativity that came with the trauma you went through. And now it's time to healing is coming back to finding yourself, the you which we mentioned weeks back, that you never changed. What happened to you never changed who you are, who you were created to be before anything happened to you. If anything, it had come probably to destroy you, for you not to bring out who you truly are. That's what all these attacks came from whoever. It may, if for some it was even their own fathers. I know Joyce Meyer, she was sharing how it was her own father who was doing all this, you know, terrible stuff to her, abusing her sexually like that. It was her own father, and you know, it could have killed the woman we are seeing today. And for a while it did. She explains. I don't remember. Yeah, it should be one of the books that we love from her. I'm forgetting the title. I'll look for it and I'll share it on the chat after this. But I know that's the book that caused for many of us to love her, when she was talking about how she went into self you know, sabotaging behaviors, you know, taking alcohol, having boyfriends and all that, and then getting married to an abusive husband, the first husband. You see what I was talking about last week, that when you don't heal, you get drawn, you get trauma bonds, you go back to people with the ability actually to hurt you over and over the same way you've experienced, because that's all you know. That's how I mentioned it last week. So the moment you take a pause and start to heal, like I said last week, you start to sort of like upgrade, you know, like the iPhones. I'm told soon there'll be the iPhone 15. So those who have a passion for for chasing the, you know, the hashtag iPhoneers, yeah, get excited, because I'm told it's coming soon, the iPhone 15. So we're saying, when you were hurt, you were an iPhone 6 and you remained there for a very long time. And you choosing to heal is you coming up to become a 7 plus, 11 Pro Max, and you know, you become the 15 eventually. And so you will see that, like, just as with the pricing with the phones, not to put any value on a human being, we are saying the value of the kinds of people you attract when you are healing becomes a better, you get to a better level, you know, you get to attract better. because you now perceive better about yourself and about life in general. Yeah, it's the example of some people who actually say, you ladies who want guys with cars, you find them in a parking lot. When you are parking your own car, how can you want a guy who has a car yet you are a pedestrian there? Because you bump into each other, you open your door and it bumps into his car door, and then, you know, the alarm goes off. And when he comes to switch it off, boom. I'm just being cute, you know. I just love it being natural like this, you know. So this is the encouragement. Get to healing, because when you heal, you become better. And when you become better, you attract better. The quality of your life, it's not even about the primary relationship. It's not only about, yeah, because the primary relationship may be involved there also. But we're saying, even the kinds of you know, social interactions you get to have are now better, because you are not the person who's always on the defensive. You're a person who can take humor. You're a person who doesn't feel you know, personally attacked, or because someone did or said something. But when you're a person who is still in pain, anything is a trigger. You know, you start to even think on behalf of people, like, they must have meant me there when they were saying this or that. Yeah, so for tonight, I think we're done, because, yeah, I did admit I wasn't really out to carry up here. Yeah, so here we are. The journey for today ends here. We are saying, get in touch with the negative feelings within you, because feelings really are just reporting what needs attention. You know, it's like seeing a neon sign, you know, a flashing amber light, and you're approaching with your car there, and you just choose to ignore it. Or even a red one, say a red one, because amber, you may say, hey, maybe I have a chance to just speed, you know, speed across, you know, the intersection and all that. But say it's a red one and you're looking right at it, and you still decide to drive through that intersection. That's what you are doing when you refuse to you know, feel those negative feelings and actually find out, what are they saying to me? What do I need to address? Because when you start addressing that, of course, the pile, it will seem like an never-ending pile, because the moment you feel you have resolved this one thing, another one comes up and another one comes up, like that. But we're saying, it's just like, you know, when you're rinsing your clothes, the moment you rinse with one, you know, dish full of water, and then it's all salty and, you know, murky from the soap, you put another, you will see that the water becomes clearer and clearer. That's what we are doing when we are choosing to heal. We are clearing the debris inside. We are clearing out the dirt we have carried for too long. And you'll see that the fresh waters start to, you know, just overflow within. I can safely tell you that these days, yes, I get angry, but I'm quick to address those things, and it helps me come back to this state of just being, you know, joyful and happy and dancing. Yeah, I love to dance. You know, it's a good thing, you know, to just, you know, be in a more healed state. So choose to let go, you know, let go of you know, the pain of what you've been through. Like I mentioned this when we started this chat, it's a choice. It's a decision you make for yourself. I'm now going to stop feeling pity for myself. I'm now going to stop thinking I'm to blame for what I went through. I'm now going to stop throwing myself at every man I find for approval. Yeah, because what I noticed with, you know, identifying with the shame that of what you went through is that someone will just think, why not just throw myself away, because already I've you know, I've been humiliated. Why not just humiliate myself all the more? You know, you throw your life away. Some become pro. Do you know that people, if you stop, take a pause, maybe to even talk to those who are actually commercial sex workers, so most of those people, they don't even want to do that. But what I've realized is that if you are a person of empathy, a person who chooses understanding over judgment, you'll find that their stories are really painful ones. A lot of them are attached even to this kind of abuse. I'm talking about, you know, sexual violence. And then they will be telling you, like, why should I, like, you know, leave the straight and narrow when already my innocence was taken away from me. A lot of the times those things are said with anger. But then you realize beneath that is someone who's really hurting. It's someone who has experienced so much pain, which they don't know what to do about. And this, what I'm talking about, is the solution, is to look and admit I have been hurt. And then, now that I've been hurt, what can I do to resolve this pain? That's healing, basically. And we're going to be talking about this and talking until someone believes the journey is doable. That's my, you know, mission with this Facebook page, The Healing Hub, is to have someone know it's possible to heal and you can do it. So cheers, everybody. I had already you know, said my farewells. Enjoy. I'll find you know, Joyce Meyer's book, the one that we love the most. I actually love it too, but I'm wondering why I am forgetting it on the slide. But I'll find it and put it on here, you know. So may someone be encouraged to heal. It's doable, I promise you. And it starts with just acknowledging that indeed you are carrying stuff that needs to be resolved. Cheers.